How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. I'm excited to be talking with you. We're gonna try doing this weekly recording of just talking about nerd shit. I figured we'd just start with the thing that inspired this idea, which is the Mega Man franchise. The Mega Man franchise is a near and dear thing to my heart because it's one of the first things that got me into nerddom, nerd culture. I was fascinated with the art style. I liked the whole concept, and of course, yeah, the games just were super fun to watch, super fun to play. The music is incredible. But I think the more that I dug into over the years, the less interested I got.
But Mega Man as a series does have pretty interesting lore. There's a comic book series that goes into a lot of different things that we don't see in the games. But I think a lot of the story in like earlier Mega Man games, until like the fourth game, I think a lot of the story was like in the instruction booklet because that was back in the NES days.
So the general concept of Mega Man, and Mega Man's got many different franchises. It's got Mega Man, it's got Mega Man X, Mega Man Zero, Mega Man ZX, Mega Man Legends, Battle Network, Star Force. Star Force is the only one I'm not really too familiar with. The original Mega Man concept is basically no different than like X-Men with Professor X and Magneto in Dr. Light and Dr. Wily. You have two scientists who created robots who were to help humanity, and Dr. Light is the good doctor, and he was partnered with Dr. Wily, who eventually became the main antagonist for the Mega Man franchise. Mega Man started in 1987 by Akira Kitamura and Keiji Inafune. And it's the last Mega Man game to come out was in 2018. That's Mega Man 11.
So like basically the story starts with Dr. Light comes up with the idea where like we can build robots that help humanity with working and doing all this other stuff, because robot masters are designed to do different things. Their whole purpose is to operate without the input of a person. It's just a robot that can do a job on its own without needing help. Protoman was the first attempt at this. Mega Man role and characters like Gutsman, Cutman, they're part of a series of robots that are called Robot Masters. And Protoman, hence the name prototype, was the first one.
Even before Mega Man.
Before Mega Man, yes. Yeah. He was actually a joint project between Dr. Light and Dr. Wily, and it worked a little too well, I would say. Protoman eventually became obsessed with his sense of self and like his sense of individuality. And then like Dr. Light, while running a scan on him, finds out that his power core is faulty, and if it's not taken out and fixed, then Protoman would effectively die. Like he just would shut down.
And does Protoman know this?
He knows this, but he's not happy about it because to him that core is part of him. He's like, this is me. This is a part of me. This core makes me who I am. So in order to prevent Dr. Light from fixing his core and possibly changing, him, who he is, he leaves. And so eventually it starts to catch up with him while he's wandering around. That power core starts to fail. And basically just as it's about to go out, he can't go anymore. That's when he's found by Dr. Wily. And Dr. Wily takes him in and fixes the core without replacing it. But that's when he also turns Protoman into a fighting robot. So if you play Mega Man 10, or 9 if you unlock him in 9. If you play Mega Man 10, you'll notice in the gameplay, Protoman can do more he has more damage output than Mega Man, but he also takes double damage from enemy hits.
So he's kind of a high risk, high reward gameplay character.
Yes, but there's a reason for that. Because Mega Man's body is built for combat. Protoman's wasn't. His body was never built for combat.
That's cool though.
That's why Dr. Wily gave him that shield to compensate for it.
Oh, I was gonna ask too why Protoman's whole thing was a scarf and a shield. That's like the sunglasses, the scarf, and the shield, and on the red color are what like differentiate him the most from the design of Mega Man. So that's why he has a shield.
And the funny thing about the sunglasses, now that you bring those up, there's official art of Protoman without his helmet on, and he has like a pompadour hairstyle. He still has his sunglasses. He still has sunglasses on, bro.
Maybe he just never had eyes. Maybe the sunglasses are his eyes.
I don't think you ever see Protoman in anything without his glasses on.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that pompadour is just wild looking.
Yeah, I would not expect that hair underneath his helmet. His helmet's so cool too. I don't think I ever knew this about Protoman, and I always found him interesting, but that makes him even more interesting.
Yeah, and so effectively he just runs away because he doesn't want Dr. Light to fix him, because he feels like if he lets him take his core out, then he won't be himself anymore.
And was all of this kind of established starting in Mega Man 5? Because it feels like they kind of retroactively told the story, as you said, where like the first couple just didn't have much of a story because it was an NES game.
Yeah, Mega Man 5 kind of touches on the character of Protoman a little more than the other games, but they don't really go into detail with him. The only way you would learn this information is through the comic book series.
Little details like that make it. What do you think of Bass's design and the whole concept of bass and treble, who was introduced in Mega Man 7?
So Bass is just, he was designed to be that character who's supposed to be the rival foil to Mega Man.
Yeah.
Because that was originally supposed to be Protoman, but then Protoman became more of an ally than anything.
Right, or like an anti-hero. Which is funny because Bass does become an anti-hero by the end. Because fandoms can't let cool designed enemies stay enemies for long. You know what I'm saying? It's the Venom syndrome, where it's like he's originally a bad guy, but it's like, but he's so cool. What if he was kind of a good guy too?
I would say the same thing about Shadow the Hedgehog, but but at the end of the game he debuts and he becomes a good guy.
Right. You knew that they were gonna go there with that.
Right. Like we can't have a design this cool looking and just use it once.
Yeah, just use it once, or just keep him a bad guy, an all out bad guy. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you know anything about Transformers, but even Megatron eventually became an Autobot.
Because he's too cool.
Right, he's just too cool of a character.
You just can't. It's the Venom rule. I'm telling you.
Well, at least Bass has this. At least he's the best character to play in Mega Man and Bass. That game sucks so bad.
Yeah, but he is the better character to play as in that game.
I hate that game so much.
I mean, he has a double jump and a dash. It's just better.
And that double jump. Let's talk about that double jump for a second.
Okay, yeah, the double jump.
There's a boss later in the game in like the King levels.
Yeah.
Where it's like this boss, it's like you have to fight it while it's like flying away from you, and it's
so hard to do with Mega Man.
Yes, you have to leap from platform to platform to stay in the fight because there's a pit below you.
Right. Similar to the dragon fight in Mega Man 2, I would say.
Yeah, very similar to that. And this boss has this attack where it can like shoot a fist at you, a big robotic fist, and it can hit and destroy platforms. And if you're playing Mega Man and it does that fist move, you basically just lost that life. You can't make that jump.
Yeah.
You just cannot make that jump with Mega Man. It's not happening.
But Bass, he's got the double jump.
Because of the double jump.
Right.
And Bass can also jump really far because you can dash then jump.
I'm pretty sure, because I only played Mega Man and Bass once in its entirety, and I'm pretty sure I beat it with Bass. I never beat it with Mega Man.
I don't see how you can beat the game with Mega Man without going insane.
They should just call it Bass.
Right. This should have just been a Bass game. What do we need Mega Man for?
Yeah. Just for branding. That's just branding.
That's just branding. And the best part, Mega Man and Bass is canon.
Is it?
It's canon.
Oh my god. Dude. Again, as much as I love Mega Man, the more I learn, I think this is why I kind of waned on my interest for it, because the more I learned about it, the more daunting it became, and the less I could keep track of. I was just like, okay, man. Whoever's running the show over at Mega Man Studios, I'm sorry, Keiji Inafune and whoever else, it's kind of a disaster.
I'm just praying for a Mega Man 12.
I want it so bad. There's no reason it shouldn't be made. Mega Man 11 was successful, and I liked Mega Man 11. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, Mega Man 11 was really fun.
Yeah, just curious, what was like your first experience with Mega Man as a franchise?
My first experience, I would have to say the Battle Network series.
The Battle Network series?
Yeah, because as a kid, growing up, I knew Mega Man was a thing. I knew it existed, but I never really played any of the games until I played the Battle Network game and watched the Battle Network anime series. It was on, I think Kids WB had the rights to it at the time.
Yeah, I remember that being on, and I remember people really liking it.
I mean, it got like, what, 4 seasons to it.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty solid. That means it had enough of a viewership to keep going for 4 seasons. I remember just catching bits of it, and it kind of reminded me of Pokemon, but with Mega Man. And yeah, like the whole like Mega Man world existed on the internet, right? And then you had the humans who were like kind of the Pokemon masters who were like kind of helping the Mega Man characters in the real world.
In terms of lore, it's like it's supposed to be an alternate timeline. It's not supposed to be part of the main Mega Man timeline.
Right.
It's supposed to be a separate timeline where it's like, what if instead of going down the path of robotics, humans put more of their technological advances into like computers.
Which is more similar to our current world, I would say. We focus more on AI or internet and computers than robotics, even though robotics are still a focus in our world.
Robotics are awesome.
And then did you play the games? Did you play the Battle Network games on the Game Boy Advanced?
Yes. My very first one was Battle Network 3 White.
Okay.
White version.
And is that a good game? Would you recommend that?
Oh, absolutely. It's a really fun game. It was kind of frustrating to me, like playing it as young as I did. I couldn't fully grasp the full scale of what I was doing.
Right, because it's a turn-based RPG, correct?
It's not so much that it's turn-based; it's more action-based. But you move around a grid, and you can freely move around a grid and attack as you want.
So is it like Fire Emblem? I mean, honestly, I've never played the Battle Network games. I've only like seen them.
No, it kind of plays like your traditional JRPG, where like you roam around a map and enemies randomly show up.
Okay, random encounters.
Battle. Mm-hmm. And from there, you're on your side of the field and the enemies are on their side.
Mm-hmm.
Enemies can you can move around this 3x3 grid, and enemies can also do the same, but not all enemies can move. And so basically, you have to strategize and figure out which battle chips are the best suited for this situation.
Okay.
Because different battle chips do different things. There's like the sword battle chip that it does a lot of damage, but you need to be close. So like sometimes you might have to sit and wait for an opening for an opponent to come close enough to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can hit them with the sword, or you could blast them from a long distance with like the shotgun chip or the cannon chip.
Okay, I need to play these. Battle Network has been on my list of games to play for a long time, and I've yet to do it just because it seems so different from all the other Mega Mans that I've played.
It's very different, but it's a fun different. It's a very fun different.
That's what I've heard.
The Battle Network Legacy Collection came out not too long ago, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that something that you would recommend?
Oh yeah, and I think it's available on every console.
Oh, sweet.
PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch.
Okay, well, I might have to pick that up then. Would you recommend starting with a certain one? Because when I recommend Mega Man 0 to people, but I don't recommend you start with Mega Man 01. I recommend you start with 2 or 3.
Yeah, I'd say the first one is a good one to start with.
Okay, and just play them in order?
Yeah.
My introduction into the Mega Man franchise was Mega Man X. And to this day, this is why I wanted to talk about this game first and this franchise first, because of how close it is to me in my gaming career, so to speak, and how I got into video games. My cousin used to play Mega Man X 1, 2, and 3. I played like Mario and stuff, but I didn't really take it that seriously. I was fascinated by Mega Man X because of his design. I used to draw a lot. I used to love to draw the box art for Mega Man. I thought it was, again, it like captured my imagination. I thought it was so cool looking. The music was intense. The sound effects of the charging of the shots and getting new powers and that dash. We've talked about how you prefer the original Mega Man over Mega Man X, but for me, it's all about that dash jump and wall climbing. I love that so much in the Mega Man X franchise. And then, yeah, eventually when Mega Man 0 came out on the Game Boy Advanced, I was like, this is like peak Mega Man to me, because not only does it take a lot of the gameplay elements of X, but also you have both the gameplay of X and 0 in one character. You can, shoot your Buster, which in that game is just like a gun, or you could use the Z-Saber. And to me, that's the best of both worlds, when you can use both.
Oh yeah, because you could actually have a sub-weapon equipped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it went even further than that. Like, obviously, the standard is the Z-Saber and the Buster, but also you had like a shield, you had this like DuckTales rod where you could bounce off enemies. The shield acted like a Captain America like boomerang. You had this grapple shot, and I think in Mega Man 03, like, it got really creative with its weapons, which I always appreciated. And then I got into Mega Man X, and then I, looked into the rest of the franchise and realized, oh, like, there was actually a Mega Man before it on the NES, and at the time there was one Mega Man game on the Super Nintendo that was Mega Man 7. And I loved the art style and music to that too. It was like, it's different. Mega Man X is more like heavy metal, and Mega Man is more like just basic rock, but a good rock. I mean, it's originally called Rockman, right? In Japan, it's not Mega Man, it's called Rockman.
Yeah, he's called Rockman in Japan.
Yeah, and that's mainly because of the music, right? That they were kind of selling the game on.
Well, a lot of characters are named after like music or musical references. In Japan, Mega Man is called Rock. And then when he's actually converted into Mega Man, a fighting robot, then he gains the name Rockman.
Rockman. And this dog is named after Rush, right? The band Rush?
The band Rush.
That's right. That's so awesome. And then you have bass and treble.
His sister is called Roll.
Rock and roll. And
even Protoman, like outside of that name, his name in Japan, he's actually called Blues.
And then they developed a new adversary rival for Mega Man in Mega Man 7 in bass and treble.
In Japan, bass is called forte,
which is also a music term.
Another music term.
Yeah.
And you don't see this character often, but it's you can see them in Mega Man 10, because in Mega Man 10 you can between levels you can go to a shop and exchange bolts for power-ups and whatnot. So when you do that while playing as bass, you'll come across this robotic bird called Reggae. And Reggae was built by Dr. Wily to basically serve the same purpose that Beat the bird does.
The Bluebird Beat, yeah.
But you never really see this character outside of that appearance in that shot. I mean, there's like art.
It's only Mega Man 10, you said?
Yeah, Mega Man 10.
Mega Man 10. Okay, I think I only played a little bit of that.
I have an interesting theory about Mega Man 10. So the plot is there's this new virus going around called Robo-Enza, like influenza but for robots.
Yeah, it's starting to come back to me as you say it, but go ahead.
And so when robot masters become infected with the Robo-Enza, they go crazy and they become violent. And so
was that the origin for the Maverick?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Where else have you heard that where robots will go crazy?
Yeah,
become violent.
In Mega Man X, they have a team of Reploids, and sometimes Reploids would fall to this like unknown virus where they would just start behaving erratically and violently, and they would call them the robots have gone Maverick.
Another thing, in Japan, they're not called Mavericks per se. In Japan, they're called Irregulars.
Irregulars. That almost sounds better.
When I think the word Maverick, I think it has a positive connotation to me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, it's kind of cool. But I mean, that's probably why they chose Maverick in the States.
And so my theory is, what if the Maverick virus that's in Mega Man X is just an updated version of the Robo-Enza virus from Mega Man 10?
That would make sense to me.
It makes too much sense.
And then wasn't it confirmed through so many different, like at the beginning of Mega Man X4, I remember they like confirmed this, and also in Power Fighters. Do you remember Power Fighters?
Yes.
One of the endings of Power Fighters, so for context, Power Fighters was like a Mega Man arcade cabinet fighting game that was actually pretty fun. And in Mega Man Power Fighters 2, and Mega Man Power Fighters you can play as, I think, Mega Man and Proto Man, but in Power Fighters 2 you can play as Mega Man, Proto Man, and Bass, and Bass's ending was basically him rebelling against Wily, and Wily's like, I got a new robot that I'm working on, no worries, and in silhouette it shows Zero.
Yes,
So it's confirmed that like X was built by Dr. Light. We know this because in every single game he comes across new capsules and Dr. Light is like, I am your creator. It's all but confirmed through so many different indirect story lines in different games that Dr. Wily created Zero, which, fun fact, Zero was the original concept for Mega Man X. And they said, no, this is too different. He's red, he's got long hair. No one's gonna recognize this as Mega Man. You have to make the main character to look more like original Mega Man. So that's where X came from. But they still incorporated Zero. And to me, Mega Man X is all about Zero. He ended up being the most interesting part of that franchise.
Oh, definitely. I was really not happy with how they portrayed. They more or less changed X's personality in Mega Man X7, because X on his own he's always been a pacifist. He's never enjoyed fighting, but he knows it's necessary for peace.
Right, and in Mega Man 7, he goes full pacifist and literally whines for half the game about fighting.
Why must Reploids fight one another? I've had enough violence.
Why must Reploids fight each other? Like, oh my God, shut up.
Mega Man X7 is such a disaster, but it's almost worth playing for all the cringe.
The memes, yeah, it's for the memes alone, it's worth playing.
Yeah, exactly.
If you ask me, I think Mega Man X6 is the worst game. To me, the biggest issue I had with 7 is that it was just boring.
Yeah, it was boring, and also a lot of the 3D, because X7, the big difference between X7 and all the other games is they really tried to bring Mega Man into the 3D space, and it did not work. Even though I guess the first foray into 3D for Mega Man was Mega Man Legends, but they tried to bring the formula of Mega Man X into the 3D space. And what was crazy about that game, I remember playing it for the first time and being blown away, and what a weird thing to do to not make X playable until you collect a certain amount of like Reploids that need saving in every level. And, right. and that game, you have to upgrade your characters through playing levels, which means even by the time you unlock X, if you do, you can go through the whole game without unlocking X, which is crazy also. He's under leveled. So you have to go back and grind Mega Man X on levels you've already beaten just to get him up to snuff, up to par with Zero or Axel, the new Reploid you play as that they introduce in the X series, who I also have a huge problem with Axel. I absolutely loathe Axel as a character, as a concept, everything.
I never really had an issue with Axel as a character per se. To me, he was always kind of just there.
Right. Well, he was fine for me in X8, and that's mainly because they give you the option of playing all three from the beginning. So it's like, okay, cool, we have a third now who plays slightly different. His whole thing was kind of similar to Bass in that he can't charge a shot, but he shoots at different angles, and he just shoots lemons the whole time, quickly.
It's a rapid fire weapon that can be aimed in like different directions.
Right, and he has a hover rather than like a dash mid-air like X would, or a double jump. He can hover, and his whole thing is he can copy regular Joe Schmo robots.
Oh yeah, I do remember that, the copy shot.
The copy shot, yeah, that was kind of the selling point for Axel, was that he could become like a regular, like the way Mega Man and Zero take, and he did this too, but the way Mega Man and Zero take the boss's powers, he could take like regular dudes' powers from the levels, which was an interesting concept, and you needed those powers to unlock certain secrets, but in execution it was kind of boring and kind of dumb.
You never really found yourself using the copy shot unless you needed to use it for something.
Right. And I just don't know anybody who is familiar with the X franchise who would choose to play Axel over Zero. I don't know anybody who would want that.
Neither do I.
And so tell me more about why you didn't like X6.
X6 is just, to me, it just seems to be a poorly designed game. Like, it is extremely difficult for all the wrong reasons.
Yes, I
like,
1000% agree.
There are just things in the game I'm dying to, which I shouldn't be dying to.
Yes, X6 is a frustrating ordeal of a game. And the backstory of it's kind of interesting too, because I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, X5 was meant to be the final X game.
Yes.
And they pumped out X6 in like less than a year. Also, it was the studios that pushed for it, not the Mega Man X creators. They were like, no, we need another Mega Man game.
Right. Inafune was done with by X5, he was done with the series, and he wanted to move on to Mega Man Zero.
Right. And I think that shows itself in the Mega Man Zero story, because the story of Mega Man Zero, real fast, is what, it's set like 1,000 years after the events of X, correct?
Something like that.
Something like that, and X is now taken over the world. He's the new antagonist, where he's trying to snuff out humans right?
Right.
And so they have to wake up Zero, who's been in like in a frozen state, so to speak.
Stasis, yeah.
Yeah, he's been in stasis this whole time, and so the resistance, made up of both humans and like benevolent Reploids, unlock Zero because they believe that he's like their savior, he's their messiah, the only one who could take out X. But then you find out subsequently that X isn't actually X, and the spirit of X, he turned into a scientist in the X timeline, and he's actually there to help the resistance in Zero. And Dr. Wheel, right? Dr. Wheel is actually the main bad guy of Zero.
I think it's pronounced Weil, but
Weil. Dr. Weil is the act, and to me, he always seemed like he's the spirit of Dr. Wily, basically,
right.
Who I guess just saw the future as the future of the world being all robots.
They finally got rid of Sigma by that point.
Thank God, right? That's so. Tell me about your main. Let's talk a little bit about the differences of opinion that you have regarding original Mega Man franchise and Mega Man X.
It's the way the stories are set up. The Mega Man X is supposed to be a more story-driven series. Like what we do in this one game, like the impact of that should carry over to a future game. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
It never feels that way because Sigma's the villain in like every game.
Yes, he just keeps coming back.
So it's almost like, what the point even?
Yeah, it almost feels like all of your efforts in each game are worthless because they become the same. They become the same problems in the next game. Which, like, I understand from like a game. Like, again, like as a gameplay guy, I don't care about that. But from a story aspect, I can recognize that that's pretty dumb and annoying, and it's
right.
Yeah.
And then all this fighting for what? For humans that we never see outside of one character?
Dr. Kane.
Yeah, Dr. Kane in Mega Man X2. Outside of that, we never see any human characters in the X series.
I mean, he's mentioned in X1. Dr. Kane is the scientist who discovered X and decided to make Reploids. Reploids is the term for, like the robots like Mega Man, modeled after X.
Short for replicant android.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Replicant android. Yeah. Zero was also found, which is revealed in Mega Man X4, I believe. Zero was created back when X was created by Dr. Wily, and he already was evil. And when it was actually Sigma who was the leader of the Reploid force at the time, he was like the best Maverick hunter, essentially. No, there weren't Mavericks at the time, right?
I think there were.
There were? Okay.
No, there couldn't have been. At least not in the way we think.
Right.
Because Reploids can go Maverick of their own free will, because that's the whole point of being a Reploid.
Right.
They can think for themselves and make their own decisions. So that's not to say there were no there were no Mavericks. There were just no Mavericks that were, created by the virus.
And so the virus starts because they come across Zero, and Zero just keeps wiping out everybody who tries to like stop him. So they send Sigma in, and Sigma ends up defeating Zero, but in doing so, and Zero almost kills Sigma, but because he's being like attacked by whatever virus, Wily or the robot influenza or whatever it's called, robot enza, affect Zero. When Sigma punches Zero in the jewel on his forehead, he becomes infected with said virus, and he he becomes like the first Maverick, correct? Sigma?
Right. In that way.
And so begins his descent into being the main bad guy of the X franchise. But it was actually started by Zero.
I think they retconned that technically because there was a PSP remake of the Mega Man X1,
Maverick Hunter, right? Mega Man X Maverick Hunter.
Yeah. And so so once you beat the game, there's a video you can watch at the end called "The Day of Sigma," and Sigma goes Maverick. Like X and Zero are already in this video. It's shown that X and Zero are already established Maverick hunters, and Sigma hasn't gone Maverick yet at the beginning of it. But by the end, he does turn against humanity.
Right. So the story that they originally wrote when they wrote Mega Man X4 was retconned by Maverick Hunter X, and I've seen those cutscenes from Maverick Hunter X. They're actually awesome. I love those cutscenes.
They should have made a whole series out of that. They really should have.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Oh yeah, I would totally watch it. Especially the story of Mega Man X1, 2, and 3. I mean, we complain about it, but like, it's actually 1, 2, and 3 are fairly interesting. It starts to go off the rails in 4.
It does.
Even though 4 has my favorite gameplay.
X4, that story was a mess.
Such a mess. Repla Force. And then yeah, I didn't even notice that until you pointed out all these years of playing it, that some of the enemies are Sigma Mavericks and some of them are just idiot Repla Force. They're just dumbass Repla Force.
Yeah, Magma Dragoon, Cyber Peacock, and Split Mushroom they're just Sigma Mavericks.
Mm-hmm. And the rest are just idiot Repla Force. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Repla Force is just stupid.
They're just really stupid.
They're really dumb. Like, this whole conflict could have been avoided had you just listened to X.
And then, yeah, tell us what X said to them.
Basically, there was a Maverick attack over this city, and like basically a lot of humans died in this. And the Repla Force just happened to be here. And so X tells the colonel, he's like, listen, just put your weapons down. Come with me back to HQ, and we can get this sorted out. Because listen, if you don't do this, they're gonna brand you as Mavericks, and they're gonna have us destroy you.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I don't want that. You don't want that. So just put your weapons down and come with me.
And Colonel says, no, I never put down my weapon.
Like, you're stupid.
You're so stupid.
You're so dumb. Now is not the time for honor and pride, bro. They're gonna put a hit out on you.
Yeah, it's just it does not look good. This does not look. The optics on this are terrible, and you have to nip it in the bud. Otherwise, what's gonna happen just happens, which is they brand you as the enemy, and then they become the enemy.
Right? They were like, oh well, they're gonna brand us as Mavericks. Well, we might as well just be Mavericks.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're stupid.
And the general or whatever is like listening. It's almost like a Palpatine situation where for whatever reason he's taking the advice of some mysterious figure in a hood, some shadowy creature who talks like Palpatine, and guess who it is? You'll never guess.
You'll never guess who this guy is.
You'll never guess. And yeah, Sigma shows up, and he's kind of like half ghost in this one, isn't he? In X4.
He is like they gave him like this Grim Reaper aesthetic.
But that's in the first phase of the fight, and then by the second phase, he's just back to Sigma, and then in the third final phase, he's many giant robots. Do you know the story of X5? I only kind of loosely remember it, because X5 actually to me had an okay idea for an ending for the X franchise.
The story of X5, there's a space station called Eurasia.
That's what it's called, Eurasia. I couldn't remember.
Eurasia. Yeah. It's supposed to be it's about to crash into the Earth, and so we have to go hunt down these Mavericks to get these parts to this cannon that we can fire at it and destroy it before it hits the Earth. And that's basically the long and short of it.
But we talked about this briefly on my stream where I was streaming Mega Man X4. It's really strange because whether you get the parts or you don't, the ending is RNG based. So sometimes you can do all the right things and Eurasia will still crash into the Earth, or you destroy it. And you get different endings, right? You get one ending where like Zero does like a suicide mission where he's like, okay, the cannon didn't work. We're gonna like shoot Zero piloting a shuttle, kamikaze it essentially. And in one of the endings, he comes back evil. Like the Zero virus or the Sigma virus, whatever you want to call it, infects him. And then you have to fight Zero. And then, but like the canon ending is Zero gets the last shot on Sigma when he's like already like cut in half, and he like sacrificed himself to wipe out Sigma, and then X takes his Z saber as like a symbolic way of like honoring his memory. And I thought that was kind of a cool ending.
The thing is, if you play the Zero series, then it's kind of different, because the Zero series insinuates that the bad ending is the one that's canon.
Right.
Because you remember You remember Mega Man 04? Remember the first action level you do of that game?
Was it the train level?
No. It was the second one. I'm sorry. So like there's the train level, and then after that you get sent to an area called Area Zero. So Area Zero canonically is where Eurasia hit the Earth.
Okay.
So the way the world of Mega Man Zero is set up, there's like outside of like these big cities, there's really not much out there. There's just like deserts and dunes. But for whatever reason, in this Area Zero, that plants and animals have started to come back here.
Oh, so life begins anew at the crash site.
And so I always thought that was weird. So which ending of X is canon, of X5 is canon?
It's all over the place. I think even the most expert level lore masters of Mega Man X and Zero are still pretty split on this. and I'm pretty sure, because Mega Man Zero had come out before X6, that they try to retroactively tell the story of as to why Zero is in stasis, because I'm pretty sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, one of the endings, or the secret post-credits ending of X6 is Zero saying, "You gotta lock me in stasis, I'm too dangerous to be just walking around." And that's supposed to set the stage for the Mega Man Zero franchise. Although that's completely just thrown out by the time X7 and X8 come out. Like it's just like, oh no, he's back. Don't ask questions.
So the way I've always looked at that is like maybe that ending takes place at the very end of the X series.
Right. So like the events of X7 and 8 happen, and possibly they were probably planning on another X game, and they were just like, look, at some point after all those X games, this happens. Like Zero locks himself away into stasis and says, "I'm too dangerous. Wake me up." He does the Master Chief thing where he goes, "Wake me when you need me." And which is pretty badass, not gonna lie. I like that.
From there we get the events of Mega Man Zero, where they develop this thing called the Mother Elf. It's a cyber elf, which they're basically just like living like computer programs or something. Mm-hmm. And they use the Mother Elf to get rid of Sigma like permanently. Like Sigma is gone. And
X becomes like, he goes full pacifist and becomes like a scientist with a lab coat, in order to like develop these cyber elves and mother elves to wipe out Sigma, correct?
Yes.
X, the spirit of X, as far as I was concerned, kind of acts like the Dr. Light character in Zero, because he shows up in ghost form to kind of guide Zero and tell him little tidbits about what happened. You're constantly piecing together what happened in history, because history is in a sense wiped out by the powers that be, which are like whatever's, Dr. Weil or Wheel, who's controlling the X copy.
And so the girl, she's back, like the deuteragonist of the Zero series, CL,
yeah.
The girl that goes to wake up Zero, she turns out she built Copy X.
Right. And now she feels responsible.
Yeah, and then Copy X turned on her, and now she feels like this is all her fault. So she goes to help. She goes to get Zero for help.
It was I love as much as I criticize the first Mega Man Zero for a lot of things, mainly because I just think it's too much of a grind to level up and get all your different abilities unlocked. I love the ending, and I love that the final bad guy is a copy of X. I love that. I thought that was great. And then, yeah, I think 0, 2, and 3 have the best gameplay, and 0, 4 has really good gameplay too, but I also find it to be the most frustrating out of 0, 2, 3, and 4. But it's got a great ending. And the whole gimmick of X6 is that each level, each level can be somehow taken over by like,
there's the nightmare virus.
The nightmare virus. So sometimes levels will change to such a degree that they are like near impossible to play unless you have the right upgrade. That was also something that really cheesed me off about Mega Man X6. And also it has that great line that we talked about also on the stream, which is Zero comes back like 3 or 4 levels into the game, right? And he says, Zero, you're back. And he said, I hid myself to repair myself.
I'm like, you could have done that the whole time. Why didn't you fix Iris then?
It's your robot girlfriend and you're yelling, yeah. Your robot girlfriend just died and you're yelling, yeah. And then, did you ever play any of the ZX games?
I did. I tried to play the first game.
That one's okay.
It's okay. The map. Oh my God. Fuck me. This map is confusing.
It's very confusing. So ZX basically takes the gameplay of Mega Man Zero and puts it into a Metroid style game and map. And it's good. Like it's worth, I think, at least one playthrough if you are a Mega Man fan. Because I played it for the first time when I got the Mega Man Zero / ZX Legacy Collection game. I had never played ZX before, and I liked it all right. I thought it was pretty okay, but I have no desire to return to it. ZX Advent, I highly recommend nobody touch that game. That game is garbage. Which is,
I only played the very beginning of it.
it's so bad, dude, and the upgrades that you get are just like the whole game design. It basically takes the game design of ZX and makes it way worse. I don't know how that happens in a sequel. You'd think that, you know, with as many good sequels that are out there, you just build upon what made the last one work. But it was almost like Bill Fuck came in and was like, no, let's try something completely different, and just made it awful. I don't recommend ZX Advent. The top fighters in the, like, I don't know what you call the that's not Repliforce. They were just Maverick Hunters. The top Maverick Hunters were Zero and Sigma, and X was kind of working his way up.
Yes, I think Zero was Zero and Sigma were S class, and X was B class.
Right, that's how it starts. But that's also, I think, a brilliant thing that the Mega Man X franchise did, especially in the first game. Like, makes you get beaten by this guy Vile in this mech suit. Like there's no way you can, like, if you're really good, you can, but the story still plays out the way it's supposed to. You get beaten by Vile badly, and then Zero comes in and just wrecks him in like one shot. And Zero tells you, like, X is like, oh, you know, I'm not as strong as you are. And Zero says, you will be. You just got to keep fighting. And by the end of the game, you are as strong as Zero, if not stronger. You even have like the same buster as he does, the same arm cannon as he does. And I think that's a great way of guiding the player through an experience of feeling like, which is what Mega Man's all about, which is every Mega Man, the appeal is you start out the game feeling really weak. But by the end of the game, when you get all the upgrades, you get all the power-ups, you feel strong as hell. It's very like Metroid in that sense. So I loved that they did that in Mega Man X. I just have to say that. And then you fight Vile at the end. Zero does a self-sacrifice on Vile, so he takes out his mech suit, and you fight Vile with now all of your upgrades, and you beat his punk ass. And I love that. I love it.
I was thinking about one of the bosses in the first X game in the one of the Sigma levels.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that
spider?
The face thing in the wall.
Yeah.
You know what that thing is called?
No, what?
Rangda Bangda.
Why? Rangda Bangda? I don't know that.
Rangda Bangda is what it's called.
Oh, also something worth noting, just for fun facts, they have like Capcom has nods to like Street Fighter a lot in Mega Man X games. In the first Mega Man X game, you can unlock the Hadouken, which is like a one-shot kill move. And you have to do the actual motion that you do in Street Fighter to perform it. In X2, you get the Shoryuken, which is the same thing, and it's a one-shot kill. Mega Man X3, it's the Zero Saber. The Zero Saber is like a one-shot kill. In, what is it in X4? Do they even have anything like that in X4 or 5?
I don't remember.
I know you get 2 different types of armor for X in X4 and 5. Or you think you get 3 different types of armor in X5.
Because I remember the Falcon armor that lets you fly.
Mm-hmm. You have the Nova armor, the Falcon armor, and then like the like tough
the ultimate armor.
The ultimate armor, the one where you can walk on spikes.
Oh, that's what's it called? I can't remember.
I'll look it up. Armors that you get. Yeah, there's ultimate armor, there's Falcon armor, and the one that we're talking about is the Gaia armor.
Gaia armor.
Yeah.
As soon as you were about to say it, it came to me.
Right. Yeah, the Gaia armor, which is like Earth armor. Oh yeah, and then it's worth noting too that a lot of these so the main difference between enemies in the mainline franchise and the X franchise is the mainline franchise, it's something man, you know, cut man, guts man, whereas in the X franchise they're all modeled after animals.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's just something animal.
Yeah. Well, Grizzly Slash. Duff McWhalen.
Dark Dizzy.
Dark Izzy Glow. Axel the Red, which I learned also retroactively that a lot of these were named after like 80s hair bands. Like Axel the Red is named after like Axl Rose of Guns N' Roses.
I think all of them are, aren't they?
Who's Grizzly Slash named after? Oh, Slash from also Guns N' Roses.
But and yeah, those names were great. But I was kind of disappointed when I played the X Legacy Collection, the second one, and they didn't use those names again. They used the original names for the Mavericks.
Oh, that's a bummer.
So
not the American translations.
Yeah, so it's not Grizzly Slash anymore. It's Crescent Grizzly. No Duff McWhalen. This time it's Tidal Whale.
Okay, so let me talk about this for a second, since we're on the topic of enemies, because some enemies are worth talking about, especially just their names. Okay, so like Mega Man X, you have pretty standard, I'd say really great names for enemies. You have Flame Mammoth, Storm Eagle, Chill Penguin, Spark Mandrill, Armored Armadillo, all this stuff. The only one that's kind of weird in the first one is Booma Kawanger. I don't know what a Kawanger is, but the name comes from this. So it's Boomerang Kuwagata. Oh, Kuwagata. Is that like a bug?
It's the Japanese word for beetle.
Oh, so it's a boomerang beetle.
Yeah,
Boomer Kerwanger. Interesting.
Yeah.
And then X2, you got like Magma Centipede, Bubble Crab, Wheel Gator, Overdrive Ostrich. I'll never forget. That was always the first one that I would always take on personally. There's always one boss that's easier to take on with your base powers. Yeah. And I remember always starting with Overdrive Ostrich. I'm sure that there's probably an easier one, but
I love that. Just that name.
Overdrive Ostrich. So, but then X3 is when things start to get fuck. Volt Catfish, Crush Crawfish,
Neon Tiger,
Gravity Beetle, Tunnel Rhino, Toxic Seahorse, and
Blizzard Buffalo or something.
Blizzard Buffalo, that's right. Yeah, X3 is when things start to go off the rails to me. I think that X3 suffered from a short development time, as many sequels do. X-Force, they kind of bring it back, although I do think Storm Owl is totally just ripping off Storm Eagle. That was like very lazy. But everybody else I think is fine. Web Spider, Split Mushroom, Slash Beast, Jet Stingray, Magma Dragoon, obviously the coolest of all those enemies, I would say. And then, yeah, X5 and X6. Let me read some of these enemies. As you already said, Crescent Grizzly, Tidal Whale, Volt Kraken, Shining Firefly, Dark Necrobat, Spiral Pegasus, Burn Dino Rex, and Spike Rose Red. Oh, it's like, okay, we're really getting into the weeds here. I think that those are like all awful names.
To be fair, I don't think Dark Necrobat is the worst one ever.
I don't think Tidal Whale is that bad either, personally. Duff McWhalen.
I don't think he can't. Like Shining Firefly.
It's just it's getting really, really bad. It's making the Mega Man original franchise look a lot better by comparison. I will say that. And then X. Go ahead.
If you remember, while we're on the topic of enemy names, if you remember, so you remember how in the classic series it was always something man,
yeah,
like Wave Man, Hard Man. Pause.
They added a girl, I think, in Mega Man 9, right?
9.
Yeah.
Yeah, Splash Woman. I was about to bring it up. That's
Splash
the only
Woman.
Robot Master whose name doesn't end with man.
Whoa, man.
Well, yeah, if you want to split hairs, sure.
And I do. X6, I don't remember any of these except for Blaze Heatnix, Blizzard Wolffang.
I hate that stage so much.
Blaze Heatnix.
Yeah, the stage sucks. It's you fighting the same mini boss like 8 times.
Fun. Yeah, again, X6, avoid it like the plague.
Yeah, that sucks so bad.
X7 has a lot of really annoying enemies too. Do you remember Flame Hyenard?
Burn.
Flame Hyenard is one of the funniest enemies in all of the X franchise, unintentionally.
Oh, it hurts!
Hynard?
Oh, it's you that's causing my suffering. Then if I tear you to pieces, the pain will stop. Burn! Try from it! Burn to the ground! Burn! Burn to the ground! Burn! Burn to the try from it! Burn!
When we said if you do play Mega Man X7, if you should just play it for the memes, that's what we were talking
Yeah,
about.
Flame Hyenard. You have to get to the Flame Hyenard level just to hear that awful ear grape. I'm telling you, like I remember playing that and like turning my TV down. I was like, I can't do this. It's so bad.
I legit did the same thing. I was like, I just after hearing "Burn to the Ground" like the 8th time, I'm like,
Burn to the ground! Burn to the ground! Burn to the ground!
Exactly. I'm just like, kill me. Just do it. Take me out now.
Yeah, just you want to end that fight just so he'll shut up. Okay, and these are also some of the worst names in the X franchise. Soldier Stone Kong, Tornado Tunyon, Splash Warfly, Ride Borsky, Ride Borsky, Snipe Anteater, Wind Croang, Vanishing Gungaroo. And Vanishing Gungaroo was also voiced by the voice actor who plays Axel. So if you play as Axel fighting against Vanishing Gungaroo, because they have dialogue now before they fight, it just sounds like Axel's arguing with himself. Like he does. The voice actor who also does the voice actor for Brave Fencer Musashi, who voices Axel and Vanishing Gungaroo, doesn't really have any sort of voices that they put on. I think that's just their voice. I think it's a woman, and I think it's just their voice, and they sound like a 12-year-old boy. Yeah.
Speaking of dialogue, have you ever gone back and played Mega Man Powered Up, the PSP remake of the first game?
No, I haven't.
So in this game, they added 2 extra Robot Masters to make it even out to 8 because the first Mega Man game only had 6 Robot Masters.
Right.
But everyone after 8.
Right.
So they added 2 new Robot Masters to total it out to 8. They added Time Man and Oil Man. And so because they wanted voice acting in this game, they had to give all the Robot Masters like personalities.
Okay.
And so they picked the most colorful personalities I could think of. like they made fire. They gave Fireman like a super southern accent, and he's just obsessed with just burning stuff.
I have to check this out.
And then they made Elect Man just this fop who's just overly concerned with how he looks. Just, you could never be as beautiful as moi, like that. He acts like just like that.
He acts like Vega from Street Fighter.
Right, he's just this fop, and it's just weird to listen to.
That's awesome. I have to check it out. I never played Powered Up. I know what you're talking about, but I never played it.
Powered Up is awesome, though. It is a really good game.
It's the PSP game?
It is a PSP game.
Okay, I might have to play it.
This is really cool about Mega Man Powered Up. If you on the first playthrough, I recommend you beat the Robot Master, every one of them using just the Buster.
Okay.
Because if you beat them using only the Buster, you beat them without destroying them.
Okay. Interesting.
And so that gives Dr. Light a chance to fix them and turn them back to normal. And so when you do that, they become playable characters.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't know any of that.
Yes.
Oh, that's really cool. I might have to play that on stream.
Just don't play Oil Man. He sucks. He sucks so bad.
So wait. So like, let's say you're playing through it and you want to use their weaknesses. Can you just last shot them with the Buster and it'll be fine? No, you have to.
You have to. All the damage you deal has to be with the Buster.
Okay.
If you hit them with anything else and still finish them with the Buster, it'll still destroy them.
Okay, interesting. I would have thought I could cheese it that way.
No, I tried and it does not work.
That's pretty cool. I think that's a great programming.
To compensate for that, they're all designed to be easy enough to beat with the Buster. But that's not to say that they don't have the bosses aren't challenging, because every boss, once you get them to like half health, they'll start using a super attack that they're invincible during.
Okay.
So you're forced to play defense and just dodge them.
I'll have to check it out. And then I don't remember any of these bad guys from X8. Bamboo Pandemonium, Optic Sunflower, Dark Mantis, Gravity Antonian. I don't know how you pronounce it. Earth Rock Trilobite, Gigabolt Manowar, Avalanche Yeti, Burn Rooster. It's ridiculous. And then I guess the only one that we're missing that I know nothing about is, what was it? The Mega Man Star? What is it? I just had
Star Force?
Is it Star Force? Yeah, I think that was it.
I don't really know much about Star Force myself because I haven't really played them.
Okay, so that's the only thing that we're not really going to cover.
But I think also set in like an alternate timeline.
Right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure ZX is set in an alternate timeline, or it takes place way after the Mega Man Zero games.
It takes place after Zero.
Oh, okay. So Star Force takes place in a different timeline.
And then after ZX comes Legends. Legends is supposed to be like the canonical end of the series.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
let's talk about Legends. Do you know anything about Legends? I only have a cursory knowledge. I played Mega Man Legends 1 when it came out for a little bit, and I didn't get very far, but I remember liking it.
Yeah. So what I remember about the story of Mega Man Legends is that they don't immediately reveal this to you, but there are no more humans. Humans are basically extinct at this point.
That's wild.
And we've been replaced with basically artificial humans called carbons.
Okay.
So carbons are more, and basically they're based just people. The first ones were just artificial, but they function basically just like humans. Like they can have kids and all this other stuff, but the first ones were just created. But so there's only one true human left in all the world, and he's called the Creator. And the Creator, so the Mega Man we know, Mega Man Volnut in the Legends game, he was supposed to be the Creator's like bodyguard and best friend. That's what he was designed to be.
Okay.
So, things happened and he lost his memory. You'll have to play the game. I don't remember all the other details.
And
because at this point, humans are just gone.
That's actually kind of a crazy place to take the game, especially with the aesthetic is so like bright and jolly. You wouldn't suspect that. Wait a minute. So wait, all right. So this is, again, I don't remember much, but I remember the game starting out. You're basically in a Zeppelin and you're with like the equivalent of Roll, and isn't there like a doctor or something that you're with too? I thought he was a human, but he's a carbon or whatever you're talking about.
He's also a carbon.
Okay, that's why I was confused.
Like all the people you see in the Mega Man Legends series are carbons, except the Creator. He's the only true human left.
And he can't continue his bloodline if he's literally the last one.
Yep, he's the last one.
That's wild. I knew nothing about the Legends lore. I didn't know that it took place at the very, very end. That's crazy.
It does. It takes place it's supposed to take place at what's supposed to be the end of the timeline.
Interesting. So yeah, I think we covered everything. We covered Mega Man X, Mega Man Zero, a little bit of ZX, a little bit of Legends. We started with Battle Network. So Battle Network takes place in an alternate timeline as well, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Good first discussion of the Mega Man franchise. I'll try to whittle something out of this. Thanks again for joining me for this. Hopefully we can keep this going each week. Yeah, I know you expressed talking about Pokemon franchise maybe for the next one. You seem to have quite a vast knowledge of these things, so it's fun talking to you from a sort of layman's perspective. I get to ask you these questions, and you seem to know a lot about all this, so it's cool. This was fun for me.
All right, sounds good.